The ocean had always called to Merman, even as a child, when she would spend hours floating on quiet waves, sensing a rhythm that felt like a forgotten lullaby. Now older, she worked as a deep-sea researcher on an isolated floating laboratory known as the Tideglass Arc, studying luminescent coral found only in a trench called Nereid's Drop. Legends whispered that the trench was home to impossible magic, ancient melodies, and a kingdom unseen by human eyes. Merman wasn't one to believe stories, but she felt an ache in her heart every time she gazed into the sapphire depths, an ache that felt like longing. One evening, while preparing for a routine dive, her equipment flickered with an unusual pulse, as though something beneath the surface was calling specifically to her. Ignoring her team's warnings about unstable currents, she dove into the ink-dark water, following the pulse's rhythm. As she descended, the world shifted, water around her glowing faintly turquoise, schools of shimmering fish circling her like guardians, like forming a path toward a trench opening framed with ancient stone pillars draped in sea fern. Just as she adjusted her lights, a violent current swept through, tossing her deeper. She felt her oxygen tank slipping loose and panic rose, until everything went silent. A warm glow enveloped her, and suddenly she felt someone's hands, strong, gentle, steadying her. She lifted her gaze and nearly forgot how to breathe. Before her floated a figure unlike anything she'd imagined. A man with skin that reflected the ocean's glow, long dark hair drifting like silk, and eyes the color of storm-lit tides. His lower body was not legs, but a powerful tail made of obsidian scales streaked with blue fire. A merman. He looked at her with surprise, but also recognition, as though he had been waiting centuries for this exact moment. He placed a hand on her chest, and her lungs filled with water, but instead of drowning, she found she could breathe it. Terrified yet mesmerized, she allowed him to guide her deeper into the trench, where the light seemed to come from living gemstones embedded in the rock walls. His voice resonated like currents unfolding. She couldn't hear words, only feeling. "You're safe." He led her into a cavern where air and water blended like one. Coral twisted into spirals of radiant bronze. Luminous tentacles of sea blossoms brushed her skin. She wanted to ask his name, but her voice dissolved into bubbles. He touched her throat lightly, and suddenly she could speak. "Who are you?" she whispered. He responded softly. "I am Chiron, guardian of Nereid's Drop. You should not be here." Yet his eyes told a different truth, one of curiosity and wonder. He explained that only those chosen by the ocean could breathe its ancient waters, and no human had done so in centuries. Merman confessed she had always felt pulled here, as if part of her belonged beneath the waves. Chiron hesitated, troubled by an unspoken fear, but offered to take her back to the surface. As he guided her upward, the water trembled violently. A booming echo roared from deep below, something ancient awakening. Chiron froze, grabbing her hand, fear flashing through his eyes. "They know you're here," he whispered. "And they will come." Merman's pulse raced as Chiron pulled her into a swift descent, weaving through spiraling stone columns that seemed to shift as though alive. The water around them darkened, but Chiron's body emitted a faint blue glimmer, lighting a path deeper into Nereid's Drop. The roar behind them faded, replaced by whispers, soft, eerie, echoing like voices trapped beneath centuries of ocean weight. Merman clung to Chiron's hand, letting the warmth of his touch anchor her amid growing fear. "What's happening?" she asked, struggling to speak through the thick water. Chiron's voice threaded through her mind. "The Council has sensed you. They thought humans could no longer enter our realm. They fear your return means the prophecy is waking." Before she could ask more, the cavern opened into a vast underwater city, glowing brighter than any sunrise. Crystal towers wrapped in sea vines, pearl bridges swaying like gentle kelp, and silver fish swirling between archways. Merfolk stopped mid-swim, staring wide-eyed at Merman. Some moved closer in fascination, others fled in fear. Chiron hesitated before leading her toward the grand central hall, a spiraling structure etched with runes. 3 imposing merfolk awaited them, elders with tails of silver, emerald, and gold. Their crowns were made not of metal, but bone coral, alive and pulsing faintly. The silver-tailed elder, Vela, stepped forward, her expression unreadable. "So the human prophecy was true," she murmured. "One will fall from the sky and awaken the deep." Merman tried to speak, but was silenced as currents coiled around her like shackles, holding her still. Chiron swam between her and the council, shouting in their language, tones that cracked through the water like lightning. Vela raised a hand, and the currents disappeared. "Chiron," she said, "you endanger us by bringing her here." He bowed his head, but Merman felt tension thrumming through him like a storm held tight. The emerald-tailed elder, Theros, circled Merman with cold curiosity. "She breathes our water," he said, "and bears the mark." His finger pointed to her wrist. Merman gasped. A faint pattern shimmered beneath her skin, an ancient sigil shaped like a spiraling shell. Chiron stared in shock. "How?" Merman shook her head. "I don't know. I was born with it. My father said it was a birthmark." The elders exchanged grim looks. Vela spoke. "Long ago, a bridge existed between humans and our kind. But the last union brought destruction, storms that tore worlds apart. The mark means she is descended from the Mer lineage." Merman's mind spun. Her father had been a quiet man, a sailor who never spoke of her mother. He died when she was young, leaving only a lock of pearly hair wrapped in silk. Was her mother one of them? Before she could speak, the walls of the hall shuddered. Currents screamed as something enormous pressed against the city's boundary. Vela's eyes hardened. The Abyssal have awakened. Chiron grabbed Merman's arm and propelled her toward an escape tunnel. "They feed on fear," he said breathlessly, "and they want the marked one." The tunnel funneled them into shadowed waters where the coral dimmed and bioluminescent creatures watched silently. Merman's lungs tightened with dread. "Why me?" she whispered. Chiron slowed, turning to face her. "Because only a bridged soul, half sea, half land, can open the sealed gate that controls the Abyssal. And you are that bridge." His gaze softened. "I will protect you, even if it costs my life." Merman reached for his hand just as a monstrous shadow loomed behind them, stretching claws through the water. Chiron's eyes widened. "Run!" A shriek tore through the water, high-pitched, ancient, vibrating straight into Merman's bones. The shadow lunged, unfurling a grotesque form, a creature with a jagged eel-like body, empty white eyes, and fins sharpened like blades. Chiron pushed Merman behind him, conjuring a shield of swirling blue currents that crackled like lightning when the Abyssal struck. The impact sent shockwaves through the trench, snapping coral spires and shaking the seafloor. "Keep moving," he urged, grabbing Merman's hand. They darted through winding tunnels, the creature tearing after them, its screeches warping the water into chaotic spirals. Smaller abyssal forms seeped from cracks in the trench, drawn to her mark like predators to blood. Chiron summoned torrents that blasted them aside, but each attack dimmed the glow around his body. When one creature got too close, Merman instinctively raised her hands. Her sigil flared, releasing a burst of light that dissolved the beast instantly. Chiron stared, stunned, but there was no time to question. They pressed deeper into Nereid's drop, following currents older than memory, until the water grew calm and eerily warm. The tunnel opened into a circular chamber carved of mother of pearl, with walls etched in unfamiliar runes. At its center stood a colossal gate of obsidian and coral vines, sealed with shimmering chains. Merman felt a strange pull toward it, as though every beat of her heart matched an ancient rhythm beyond the stone. "This is the Gate of Uldren," Chiron whispered. "The lock that keeps the Abyssal imprisoned." He looked at her with urgency. "Only you can open it, or reinforce it. Your lineage makes you the key." Fear crawled through her chest. "I can barely understand what's happening. How am I supposed to save anyone?" Chiron touched her cheek, his fingers warm against the cold water. "Because you're not alone." His sincerity steadied her more than any ancient prophecy could. Before she could respond, the walls cracked with another roar. Theros, the emerald-tailed elder, surged into the chamber, flanked by warriors with spears of bioluminescent coral. "Stand aside, Chiron!" Theros shouted. "We must use her to open the gate. We can destroy the Abyssal once and for all." Chiron blocked their path. "No. If the gate opens, the entire kingdom could collapse. We must strengthen the seal, not break it." Theros sneered. "You forget your place, Guardian. The council decides." The warriors rushed forward. Chiron defended Merman, swirling currents into whips that sent them spiraling. Merman stepped between them, her sigil burning brighter. "Stop," she cried. The chamber stilled as every eye turned to her. "There must be another way." Theros laughed bitterly. "You think you understand? Your bloodline destroyed our world once already." Merman's chest tightened. "Then teach me. Show me how to fix what was broken." Vela arrived, floating gracefully into the chamber, and silence fell. Her silver tail shimmered as she approached Merman. "Prophecies can change," Vela murmured. "Perhaps she can remake the seal, not open it." Theros growled but yielded. Vela guided Merman to the gate. "Place your hand upon the sigil. Let the ocean speak through you." Merman's pulse thundered as she reached out. The sigil flared against her palm. Images crashed into her mind. A human woman with pearly hair, a merman holding her, a storm of abyssal rising, a sacrifice sealing the gate, but only half complete. Tears blurred her vision. Her parents. They had tried to protect both worlds and fallen doing so. As her power surged, the chamber trembled, and the abyssal outside shrieked, sensing their window closing. The gate's chains began to glow, wrapping around her arm. Chiron grabbed her shoulders. "I'm here." Drawing strength from his touch, Merman channeled her light into the seal. The chains brightened until a booming force slammed into the gate from the other side, splintering coral and hurling everyone back. The largest abyssal pressed through, a beast of shadow and storms. It locked its hollow gaze on Merman and snarled, "You will finish what your mother began." The chamber shook as the monstrous abyssal forced itself through the fractured gate, its body a mass of roiling shadows and jagged fins that scraped the walls like claws on bone. Its voice reverberated through Merman's skull, dripping with venom and ancient grief. Chiron darted forward, conjuring currents sharp as blades, but they passed through the creature as though it were made of smoke. Theros and his warriors hurled spears of glowing coral. They shattered upon impact, dissolving into dust. The monster's chilling gaze turned to Merman, drawn to the pulsing sigil on her wrist. The child of the Forbidden Union, the key to release or ruin. Merman stumbled back as memories, not hers, poured into her mind. She saw her mother, a merwoman with shimmering pearl hair, holding a newborn half hidden in sea foam. Her father, a human, whispered promises as the abyssal clawed at the gate. Their love was the bridge, only sealed halfway when they sacrificed themselves to stop the invasion. Tears spread into the ocean around her. They had died saving her. Now the burden was hers. Chiron seized her shoulders. "You can finish what they started. You can fix the gate." Merman looked at the raging beast. "How?" Chiron pressed his forehead to hers, their currents intertwining, together. Vela rose, summoning a circle of silver light around them. The gate responded, humming like the voice of the ocean itself. Merman stepped forward. Chains of glowing coral emerged from the stone, coiling around her arms, not to restrain, but to connect. Her sigil flared brighter than ever, flooding the chamber with light. The abyssal shrieked and lunged, but Chiron intercepted its attack, wrapping his body around hers, shielding her from razor fins. Tendrils of shadow pierced his scales. He cried out in pain, but did not let go. Merman felt his heart pulse against hers, his strength flowing through her like a tidal wave. She placed both hands against the gate. Her voice rose, not in words, but in a melody of memory, each note a fragment of her parents' love. The gate awakened, its obsidian surface glowing blue-gold as ancient runes slithered to life. The abyssal howled as chains wrapped around its limbs. "You cannot seal us alone," it roared. "You must give what they gave, your life." Merman faltered, fear slicing through her. But Chiron's voice whispered in her mind, "You are not alone anymore." He pressed his palm beside hers on the gate, offering his life force. The runes reacted violently, spiraling golden light around them both. Theros and Vela joined, channeling power. The chamber roared with energy as the abyssal's body convulsed, dragged into the gate's swirling core. Darkness and light collided, ripping currents apart. Merman felt her strength crumble. Chiron's grip tightened. "Stay with me." With one final surge, the gate slammed shut. The abyssal's scream was cut off as silence swallowed the chamber. The light faded. Merman collapsed, Chiron's arms holding her. His body flickered, energy nearly spent. "Chiron," she whispered, voice trembling. "Don't leave." He smiled faintly, brushing her cheek. "I promised I would protect you." His glow dimmed until the sigil on her wrist pulsed, sending warmth into him. Merman focused her remaining strength, pouring it into him, their energies entwined, and slow color returned to his scales. Vela watched in awe. "You forged a bond beyond prophecy. The ocean recognizes your union." Merman helped Chiron stand as the chamber's walls repaired themselves, sealing the gate once more. Outside, the city welcomed them with song, currents shimmering in celebration. The council bowed before Merman. She bowed back, choosing neither throne nor title. Instead, she remained in Nereid's drop beside Chiron, who taught her to swim the ancient currents while she taught him the beauty of the surface sky. Often, they visited the cliffside where her parents once met, honoring the bridge that first united land and sea. And every dawn, Merman would stand beside Chiron where water met air, feeling two worlds in one heartbeat. Knowing their love had not only sealed the darkness, but opened a new future where ocean and earth could dream together once again.